Well, hello everyone. We have here the champion for the Gamers event that happened this weekend. Andrew Dovale. He was playing our good old leader, Vegeks.
Yeah.
So tell us about the experience.
It was a great tournament, just smooth. We just had a fun time here. Even though there was, we had the mask, everybody was protected. It was still fun, and we had a good time. So I will say it was ran well for the situations that were under. So.
All right, perfect. Really so tell us the leader. Why still playing Gogeta after
Before you even get to the leader, go ahead and put the mat out, bro.
Oh yeah, let's show.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead and put the mat. Shout out to Gamerz. Gamerz had an amazing event, man. Nice hollow mat, bro. Like it's going up on the auction group. If you want the mat, PM Eddie St. Hilaire or Andrew Duvall. We'll get to you.
Yep.
But shout out to Gamerz again, bro.
Beautiful mat.
Yep. All right, so why I played this leader? I liked the leader before. Obviously when it was the best leader and untouchable, but after the bans I felt like it still does inherently strong things, and its main engine was not hit. It was just using the secondary engine to kind of abuse it. It was way too strong, but now it's playing a little bit more of a fair game. It's still an aggro deck, which is not normally my style, but I felt like you could also play a long game with it, and awakening at a high life total. Sometimes it's just difficult for decks to pressure you back, especially when you're applying so much pressure on the front, on your own, on your turn. So yeah, basically if people don't know, you can only play black battle cards. You burst 5, you mill the top 5, and you draw a card. You awaken. When you awaken, you take up to 6 life until you're at 6 life. So if you're at 8 life and they didn't hit you, you just get 2 cards. And then on the backside, he does much of the same, except his permanent now changes to, he has a second permanent that at sparking 20 you can't deck out, and then you have activate main, draw a card. Basically, it's not burst 5 because it's place 5 cards, so that allows you to actually do the effect even if you have less than 5 cards in your library, in your deck, and double strike to one of your unisons, right? Which is huge for ending the game. So he's a very strong leader, still nothing to scoff at, and as you can see, he can win an event very easily. So that's the leader. Going to the main engine of the deck, we're going to play 4 of each of the cards you get to play for free, because you get to play them for free, and that's always fair and balanced. So yeah, I mean, this guy takes a life. I mean, they all have their uses, right? They're all, now that the U3s are gone, you don't get to like super abuse these guys, especially the trunks. But now they're basically, they all have their uses. You got your blocker and take a life. You have your 19k beater, and if if there's something that's problematic on the board, you can warp it so it has some nice defensive or kind of kill a hate card potential. The unison, which is just insane. The fact that you get a unison for free and that it upticks 2, it makes it really hard to remove. And being able to give this double strike means that your main win condition, which is Bibbidi, just gets through and you're able to end the game pretty easily. And if they ever let you -4 this thing, the game almost ends on the spot, because you're giving something dual attack double strike 25k, and you basically can't interact with it unless you just throw negates every time. And then finally, your extra combo power. Just a great card. Saved me a bunch of games, especially against the Gohan matchup. Just being able to out-combo attacks when you're on a low hand size, and just be able to pressure your opponent more when you're on a low hand size, and making them, in a bad position. Either have to take it when they don't want to, or defend a high combo number for very little investment. So that's the main package of Vegeks. You've got to play it at 4, no matter how you're running the deck. So. Moving on.
Yeah, no, we have friends that work at the airport, so.
I decided to play a 60 card build, and to make it more consistent, I just wanted more overroams. So there's the best overroam in the deck, which is the Trunks Elite Descendant, and then there's this other one that's also very good. They're Trunks Xeno and Vegeta Xeno, so they help for the Union Potaro for Vegeks. And this guy just being critical, if you have your double strike Kai at the beginning of the game, you're just able to double strike crit them, and it just gives you so much free advantage. You trade 1 card for 2 of their life. This guy mills you 3, so it just lets you churn through your deck. Even though you're playing 60 cards, you're still milling through your entire deck by turn 3 or 4, which is what's important, really. It's less about you're going to be consistent because you're milling more. So, and you're always having an extra attack or an extra overrun pressure every turn, almost every turn. So, alongside the Trunks combo, we play the Vegeta that mills. So you get an extra mill 5. And then that Vegeta, you contribute, he has Barrier, which is insane. And then you contribute him into a removal spell and a burn/awakener. So this is your main awakener of the deck besides the Trunks. If they try to stall you out and you want to push aggressively, you can take 2 of your life to take 1 of theirs. So yeah, just a really good combo. Very good defensively, 20k, 19k. They always have to combo up into you, and that's another strength of this deck, is that you're putting a lot of things onto the board that are hard to remove, and then your opponent has to keep dealing with the pressure that they provide every turn over and over. So that's the Overrealm package and the Mass Saiyan package.
Round 6 is up. Please come look at the parents, please.
Then we move on to the Vegeks package. So we're just playing a straight 4 and 4. Why this is so good? There's a lot of times, since I'm overwhelming so much, that I'm putting stuff like Bibbidi into the drop, or my Double Strike Kai into the drop, or just anything that I need into the drop. This allows me to grab that card and put a 25k Double Strike for only 3 mana. So usually I would pay 2 for the Fu, and I would get the Bibbidi back anyways. If I'm paying 3 and grabbing it back and putting a 25k Double Striker on board, then that's just insane for that value, right? If the main thing with this card is that you need to be able to get it around the unison counterplays, specifically the green and blue ones, because those just don't allow it to really come into play or like do its thing more than the other ones. So if you're able to keep the unisons at a low markers, which is pretty easy because you have so many attacks throughout the beginning of the game, you're able to either kill their unisons or keep their unisons at less than 2 markers. You're able to go into this guy freely, get that value, and then you're able to Xeno Evolve for free into this one, which is now a 30k Double Strike, 7 mana, even harder to deal with, harder to remove, and every time he attacks, he warps something. I used this in the finals to basically just win the game. He wasn't able to remove it. It was too big of a body for the investment that I put into it, and it just continuously got rid of his board, and that was the win just with this guy. I like this combo a lot. I think now that the deck doesn't have the U3 package, it's looking to be more mid-range, and this is the best mid-range thing that you can be doing with the leader. I played 4 Power Burst. So Power Burst has multiple effects. There's matchups where you need Koitsukai, but you overwhelm it early. This allows you to buy back your Koitsukai so that you can use it on the pivotal turns when someone's trying to topo you, or any type of negate or anything like that, or rivals if you are worried about those. Secondarily, it takes life. So if your opponent is stalling you out, or they make a mistake, or they put you in a situation where they don't think that you're going to awaken, and then all of a sudden you power burst, you're going to be able to get that life from them. And then finally, it's just a negate for matchups like Gohan, where you want negates. The mirror, it's nice to have negates as protection, even against Invoker. Just being able to have this allowed me to survive an extra turn, because if they make it to turn 5 and you don't have 2 of these in hand, then they can just kill you with Victory Strike. You don't really have any answers for that. So that's why we play Power Burst at 4. I like it, even though it is the most aggressive of the Sparking Negates, and that's what's good about it. Even though you're playing an aggressive deck, you can use this card aggressively, or you can use it defensively. So that's why Power Burst is good. 4 of this guy. I see him a little bit underplayed. People don't play him as much because they play the Draw Monkey, but the investment that you get just playing this guy for 1 mana is just much more consistent than the Draw Monkey. Just being able to invest 1 mana a turn to filter your hand, because there's a lot of cards that you don't want, to draw new pieces. It's essentially a +1 only, but since you have so many cards that you just want to mill or you want in your drop anyways, this guy just fits the bill perfectly. You're able to do him turn 1 if you didn't draw your trunks over him, and you mill him, or anywhere along in the game to just to fill in the gap. He's a really, really good card. I suggest playing this in Vegeks over the Draw Monkey, just because you get to spend 1 mana, and 1 mana to filter your hand is perfect for this deck. You don't want to spend 2 until you get super late in the game, and by then it might not matter. So definitely 4 of this one. 3 Fu, 3 Champa or Isekai Double Strike, and 4 Bibbidi. So this is just the consistent bread and butter of how you finish games. You give something Double Strike, you add a Bibbidi to it. If you don't have it, then you add back the Bibbidi with the Fu, and that's how you win. You know, it's very hard to stop. Your opponent basically needs a negate on almost everything that you attack with, or a blocker. If they don't, they're going to take the damage, or if they're in lethal range, they're going to die. So this is what makes the deck strong. This is the win condition of the deck, more so than anything else. So you got to play this at some high number. You could play 4 of this and 2 of this. For me, it worked 3, 3, 4, because I felt like I could buy these back pretty easily when I needed them. So, or I saw them consistently enough throughout the game with all the cycling that I did. So this is my ratios, and I think it works well for a 60 card build. I played 2 Koitsukai. Koitsukai stops the most annoying card for the deck, which is Topo. I mean, it doesn't stop it, but it makes it more difficult for your opponent to continuously do that effect against you. Because each turn that you play this, they're going to have to drop 2 cards when you activate it. Another effect that it has that's just pretty good with the deck is that since you have so many cards in your deck that you don't want in your hand sometimes, and you'd rather mill them, you can put those back into your deck and just draw up to 2. So you can get rid of, you know, a Vegeta Xeno or a Trunk Xeno, the ones that you mill and play for free, put them back into the deck and draw 2 cards. And that basically is another filter tool that you have. Even if you don't get value from the first effect, just being able, or when they play something on your turn, just being able to filter sometimes for getting the pieces that you need is very important. So Koitsukai at 2, and we play more on the sideboard. And then finally we play, for the main deck, 1-ofs, 1 Black Smoke Dragon. You could play basically any secret rare. The balls are good in this deck. The Gogeta is good in this deck, and the Black Smoke is good in this deck. You could even play Demigra secret rare if you wanted to. It's obviously the most risky, but it could have its payoffs as well. Any secret rare that you play in this deck is fine. Most of the time you don't need a secret rare because your win condition is much simpler, much quicker, and much more efficient. But it works just as fine. I like this one specifically because it gets rid of annoying board states. So if I'm playing a matchup such as Topo, or I'm playing a matchup such as Bulma, or I'm playing a matchup that, you know, just tries to grind me out and build a huge board of blockers, or just stops me from playing my game completely, Hachiak is another one. Just things that this will win the game, and it's not a one-time use. So if they can't get rid of it, and if you hit the answer from their hand, also good against like green decks like Green Frieza and so on, this card is just going to win the game on its own. So that's why I like Black Smoke. Is just such an inevitable win condition that no other card can replace. So that's why I chose this one. Hachiak, just a consistent threat that you can recur. A few things that you could do with this card later on in the game when you don't want to deck yourself out, but you do want to give like a Unison Double Strike or something like that. You can use this to shuffle some cards back into your deck, and that way you can sometimes you can hit good mills off of it, so you can mill those cards now, and now they come into play because you get to choose. You're going to know what you put in there, usually a Vegeta Xeno or a Trunk Xeno. And then you also get the 25k kind of dual attack body, which helps in the hatch matchup. We didn't see much hatch here, but it helps in that matchup to clear the board and then also get to attack. And it's just a consistent threat. If you don't have anything to do with your energy, you just do this. It doesn't matter if it gets countered. It doesn't really matter. You didn't lose anything for it. You just had nothing else to do, so you're just gonna play this guy. So that's the main deck. And then we'll go into the sideboard. So for the sideboard, the first card that was an immediate 4-of was 4 Demonic Absorption. After playtesting against Invoker heavily, I felt that you needed more extra card answers to their threats, so that way you can play a longer game against them because they're going to force a longer game. If you have a start where you can kill them on turn 2, which I did a few times on their first, if you're going first, you can kill them on turn 2 sometimes, then great, you never needed this card, and it's just a 5k combo, which is fine, or energy, or pitch it, or whatever you need to, whatever else you can do with it. But if the game does go to where they get their Invoker Vegeta down, or if they hit you with Victory Strike and you're able to survive with a negate, then you're able to kill it on the backswing. And that way you're not dealing with that consistent pressure. And a lot of times you can grind that deck out because they find it difficult to win, especially when you're at a high life total and you've applied so much pressure, they don't get to generate the same resources that they can against other decks. So I feel this is an absolute must against that matchup, just being able to remove their threats. And you need it at a high number, because if you don't play it at a high number, they'll take it from your hand and then you won't have it. So you got to play it a lot so you can see it a lot in that matchup. So you got to play 4. It worked perfectly. I won my Invoker matchups in the top cut. Both 2-0, I believe, and this was a big important part of winning these sideboarded games. So Demonic Absorption, very good. 2 more Koitsukai for the same reason that we played it before, just really good. For decks that are reliant on topo to stop us, we're just going to play a value game against them. Every time they topo us, they're going to lose the cards, and we're just going to pass. We're going to say, okay, try doing that again next turn. We Koitsukai again next turn, and the following turn, until we run out of them, but by then our opponent would have run out of cards in hand, and we're not losing cards. We're just doing this effect, and it's countering theirs.
Yeah.
2 Kami. So the Kami is for matchups that generally yellow matchups. So Gotenks and Topo that build big board states, and sometimes you can't. If you get behind against those decks, you're going to lose. But they're very reliant on what they put onto the board. So if you're able to Kami the board away, then they're set back to 0, especially Topo. So that's a matchup that is a problem for this deck. If they go first, especially. But now that you're much slower, even if you go first, sometimes you're not able to apply enough pressure to win just without having some hate cards. We only play 2. It also helps in any hand destruction matchups or any matchups where you need to just cycle and see extra cards and have 5k combo power.
Okay.
For that, and you can buy it back with Power Burst. So that's why you only really need 2. 4 Protector of the People. So this came in against Green Gohan as an extra negate. It's just a negate. A lot of times they try to spam attacks to get you down to 3 life or to the right life total so they can finish the game. This stops that. It also stops a Boonie. That's why I use it in the top cut. They're just not able to end the game. My opponent had 2 Aboonies and they weren't able to finish out the game on that turn. So this is a very good card defensively to protect you against wide boards, because if they go combo big on one attack, then you have Bibbidi to stop it. But if they have a wide board, then they're going to force you to combo the Bibbidi when you don't want to. So you need this to protect yourself against wide boards. I think this card does that the best. So they're worth it in this deck.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Then finally, well, actually, no, we have this guy too. This guy was really good throughout the tournament, in the mirror, against the Vegito in the finals, just in general. Any type of matchup where they're relying on putting things on board and using those as blockers, or just anything that is problematic, or any type of board-centric game that you're playing with your opponent, this card just dominates that. And with the 60 card build, you can overroam 6 pretty confidently that you're not going to mill out, which is a big deal. And you're just getting such a high value pressure card, a 25k beater that warps the entire board. Against a Boonie, it warps a Boonie and all of the tokens, and even some 1-drops that they may have. So in the Vegito matchup, I was able to board wipe them with just 1 card, which is so good. So definitely 2 of this, and you got to get them foil because they look so good.
Forwards are amazing.
And then finally 1 Fu Shrouded in Mystery. I love this card, and it actually won me both of my sideboarded games against Invoker in the top cut. I just stalled out, got to this, swung at them, threw a Bibbidi behind it, and the game was over. That's all you need in that matchup. If you can make it to 6 energy, and they didn't, take this from your hand, or you redrew it after milling, after reshuffling, then you're just, it's over. The game ends. So having that, trump card against Invoker is just really nice. There may be other grindy matchups that you can put this in against. I didn't face any, but against Invoker, just having a for sure win condition. On top of what you're already doing to them, you know, forcing the pressure. Usually they have to buy back extra cards and extra negates and so on just to keep themselves alive. So having something like this just waiting for them at the end of the road just to finish the game is perfect. So yeah, that's the deck profile.
All right. Do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Team FOE. We're just, you know, we've been dominating it. Definitely the best team in the game. And yeah, just shout out to all the
Shout out to everyone
homeboys.
who came out to Gamers. You
Yeah,
guys are the best.
everyone that came out to Gamers, especially my homeboy Juan Brand. Made sure that he lent me some of the cards that I needed for the deck. And yeah, it was just a good event. I'm thankful for everyone who supported me, and you know, it was a fun weekend.
We'll just leave it at 25 single.